Chapter 1921, The Walkers of the Netherworld. Deng Shintong searched through his family's database and compared it with the appearance of the giant in front of him, but he couldn't find any matches. I can't find any information about him. This person is most likely disguised. A disguise? Zhang Yi tilted his head. Was that really necessary? As long as they entered the demon's eye together, his abilities would inevitably be exposed, and then it would be clear who he was. He was more inclined to believe that the guy in front of him was indeed Columbia's hidden trump card. Cardalis and Canelo couldn't possibly be the commanders. They've always been active in the ocean realm, and I know their strengths very well. Compare that to Columbia's bishop-level mutants. There aren't many of them. Besides Brian, who else in Columbia is at the bishop level? Deng Shintong said, we know of one other bishop-level mutant. His code name is Adam Smith. However, he is a renowned powerful figure, and we haven't heard from him in a long time. Deng Shintong looked at the gentle, smiling face of the giant in front of him and his enormous physique, frowning. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't connect the two. It shouldn't be him. Adam Smith would never change his appearance. He wouldn't stoop to doing something like that. Zhang Yi became interested. Oh? You mean there might be a bishop-level mutant in Columbia who has been hidden away for 3 years and has never appeared anywhere in the world? He thought this was very far-fetched. But Deng Shintong said solemnly to Zhang Yi, it's not impossible. My dear Supreme Excellency. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows, are you serious? Deng Shintong said, Columbia was founded less than 300 years ago, but in a very short time, it became the world's leading power. They have always been at the forefront of the world in the fields of military and science and technology. Therefore, there has always been a saying that they had contact with the so-called extraterrestrial civilization early on and obtained their technology. Zhang Yi became interested. You mean they have been in communication with the underground civilization for a long time? Just like the Huashu Kingdom and the Dragon Clan of the Qinling Mountains? No, perhaps even earlier. Deng Shintong said, I know that there is a mysterious military restricted area in Columbia that has been secretly sealed off until now. That place is called the Abyss 51. Suddenly, Zhang Yi thought of his conversation with Newton. Newton told him a story about how, decades ago, Columbia sent an army and a group of experts deep into an abyss thousands of meters deep, and mentioned that they came into contact with mysterious civilized beings. So early? Zhang Yi took a deep breath. You mean that the guy in front of us is very likely from that place? And we don't have any information about him because this is his first time participating in activities after returning to the surface? Deng Shintong laughed, that's just my guess. In any case, Zhang Yi wasn't particularly interested in this matter. There were too many people with secrets. He just wanted to know how strong this guy really was. It was Piercer who greeted Zhang Yi first. Chaos, long time no see. We've been waiting for you. Zhang Yi descended from the sky and greeted the people around him with his eyes. Long time no see, I still prefer your old cowboy outfit. Zhang Yi smiled slightly at Canelo. Canelo glanced at his arms, which were tightly wrapped in battle armor, but it was a type of exoskeleton armor that was as light as clothing and full of cyberpunk technology. The current outfit is more practical. I learned that from you. Saying that, Canelo stepped aside and reached out to introduce Sharon. Right, let me introduce you. This is Sharon, the person in charge of our operation. Cha, Ron. Zhang Yi slowly repeated his name. Sharon raised his heavy palm and smiled at Zhang Yi. Mr. Chaos, I've heard a lot about you. It's an honor to meet you. The two did not shake hands. Unless they were very familiar with each other, mutants would keep a sufficient distance when meeting for the first time to avoid being attacked by the other party's abilities. When he received Karen's code name, Zhang Yi had already searched for it using the intelligence system. This was a very unfamiliar god. According to the intelligence system, Sharon was a ferryman in Norse mythology who ferried souls across the river Styx. He was a minor character, not worth mentioning. This person is just like us, so low-key, really low-key. Zhang Yi felt more and more that this person was not ordinary. The popularity of the character Sharon was probably on par with Chaos. Olive walked towards Zhang Yi and the others. Chaos, did you bring the Spear of Longinus? He got straight to the point. Zhang Yi nodded, of course. Odibio of the Aoshi clan, leaning on a human bone scepter, walked barefoot toward them and said in an ancient language, "Now that everyone is here and everything is ready, let's go." His gaze fell on Zhang Yi, and he reached out to him and said, "Please give me the sealed staff. I need it to open the sealed doors." Zhang Yi looked at the big black man in front of him and said with a smile, "I went through a lot of trouble to get this thing, so it's better to keep it with me. I'll lend it to you when you need it." Seeing that Zhang Yi was unwilling to hand over the Spear of Longinus, Odibio frowned. "It's just a sealed object, it's useless to you. On the contrary, it may bring you disaster, why keep it?" Zhang Yi's heart trembled. This old man knew quite a lot. But of course, he wouldn't give it up easily. As long as it was in his hands, he would have the initiative in the subsequent distribution of the spoils. "Just let me keep it. It's not convenient for you to carry it around." Odibio glared at Zhang Yi in dissatisfaction. "I'm doing this for your own good. If you don't know how to use it, it will bring disaster upon you. When that time comes, the crawlers of the netherworld will come after you." Crawlers from the netherworld? Everyone was curious about this term. Odibio explained, "For many years, our Aoshi clan has been fighting against the netherwalkers. They are the apostles of the fallen demon gods who voluntarily entered the dark underground world and abandoned the light. If we enter the sealed land, we will definitely encounter these guys." Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi realized that this old man was quite knowledgeable. He didn't know anything about the demon's eye, so he decided to play it safe and let this local native lead the way. He couldn't afford to offend him. His attitude became friendlier. "Old man, don't take it the wrong way. It's not that I'm greedy and don't want to give it to you. It's just that it's too big, over 200 meters tall as the Tianhai City Pearl Tower. You wouldn't be able to carry it. How about this, I'll keep it here. When you need it, just let me know, and I'll definitely give it to you." Seeing Zhang Yi's attitude become kinder, Odibio's expression also softened a little. "In that case, just keep it there for now. Don't think of it as something good. Sooner or later, we'll have to take it back to reseal the demon god." Okay. These natives were quite easy to deal with and didn't continue to argue with Zhang Yi. However, Zhang Yi was still very attentive and asked Odibio what the so-called crawlers of the underworld were. Odibio explained to everyone, "These things have existed since ancient times. When faced with despair, weak creatures will put their trust in gods. They will even submit to fear and kneel before demons. The crawlers of the underworld are creatures that have been attracted by the power of demon gods and willingly fallen into slavery. Our Aoshi clan has fought them for many years and has always made a huge contribution to protecting world peace." The Aoshi clan members looked proud. Zhang Yi listened but found it hard to believe. "Oh, really? The primitive tribes of Feizhou have always been protecting world peace? If they really had such abilities, then Feizhou would not have been so poor and backward throughout its long history, nor would it have been invaded and enslaved by other continents." Zhang Yi saw a change in Odibio's expression and subconsciously thought that this guy was bragging. Odibio snorted coldly, "If you don't believe me, I have proof. Our Aoshi clan has preserved the corpses of the netherwalkers." As he spoke, he signaled to the people behind him. Ao Guanhai stepped forward and reached into a cloth bag slung across his waist. Zhang Yi and the others stared intently at Ao Guanhai, and soon he pulled out a lump of black something from the cloth bag. It should have been a corpse, black and shapeless, but it looked human. Ao Guanhai held up the corpse and said, "Look, this is the enemy we will face in the future. Netherwalkers." "Ha!" A cold laugh came from Cardalus. He folded his arms, looking unconvinced. "Are you sure this isn't the corpse of a baby? It doesn't even look as long as my arm, and it's been burned to charcoal. You can't fool us with this." Ao Guanhai snorted angrily, raised the corpse in his hand, and said eagerly, What do you, a foreigner, know? This is the corpse of a netherwalker. We fought it ourselves. Cardalus waved his hand, signaling Aoguanhai to shut up. He put his hands on his hips and asked with a smile, "You just said that you have been fighting the netherwalkers for a long time. If they are really followers of the demon god, how could you defeat them so easily? As we all know, it has only been 3 years since the Great Mutation era began. Could it be that you already possessed powerful supernatural abilities before that?" Although Cardalus' words were harsh, this time Zhang Yi was grateful to him for speaking for him. Odibio's words were too bold. Did they really have the strength to protect the peace of the world for so many years? Odibio glared at Cardalus in resentment. Netherwalkers, as the name suggests, are a race that has fallen into darkness. Their eyes have degenerated and they are not adapted to the environment on the ground. Once they come to the ground, their combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced. Not to mention that the witchcraft of my Aoshi clan is specifically used to deal with them. Cardalus covered his mouth and laughed out loud. Witchcraft? Heh. No matter how you listen to it, Odibio's words were not convincing. This was because of the gap in strength. In the long history of mankind, Feizhou had never produced a powerful country that dominated the world. Not to mention that now, the Aoshi clan was just a primitive tribe that lagged behind human history. It was only natural for Cardalus to look down on him. Not to mention him, Zhang Yi and the other mutants in the team were also considering the strength of the Aoshi clan. Bang! At this moment, a loud noise came from Odibio as he slammed the white bone scepter in his hand heavily on the ground. His eyes were fixed on Cardalus, who was still smiling, and his gaze became vicious. An evil and terrifying aura surrounded him. It was the killing intent released by a powerful person. Even without taking action, the thought of a powerful person's killing was enough to make people feel frightened. You look down on the witchcraft of the Aoshi clan, do you? He suddenly raised the scepter in his hand and aimed it at Cardalus. Then let me give you a try. The shaman tattoos on his face suddenly came to life, moving around on the surface of his skin, which was writhing as if there were black worms hidden beneath it. These black tattoos turned into runes and climbed up the white bone scepter. Odibio's lips began to move, as if he were quickly reciting a spell. The smile on Cardalus's face suddenly disappeared. He felt a sense of death enveloping him, about to completely engulf him. Stop! At that moment, a loud shout came from not far away. A holy white light descended and stood between Odibio and Cardalus. It was Olive who had arrived. He said to Odibio, "Odibio, the tribal chief, our allied forces are about to enter the Demon's Eye to join forces and seal the Demon King for the survival of humanity. At this moment, we absolutely cannot start fighting amongst ourselves. Please give me some face and let him go this time." Having said that, Olive turned to look at Cardalus, his gaze much sharper. "Your Excellency, Lord of the Ocean, it was you who disrespected the Aoshi clan first. Please apologize to Odibio and the Aoshi clan, will you?" Cardalus had just escaped from the brink of death, and cold sweat was pouring down his back. He even felt that if Olive hadn't stopped Odibio's witchcraft in time, he would have died there. He took a deep breath, hid the resentment in his eyes, bowed his head and said, "I apologize. This time, I was wrong." Seeing Olive mediate, the Holy See had to save face. Odibio snorted coldly and tapped the ground with his white bone staff. "In the future, if anyone dares to insult my Aoshi clan again, I will definitely let the devil take their life." With that, Odibio led his clan away. Sharon walked over and patted Cardalus on the shoulder. "You saved your life." He still had a calm smile on his face. Cardalus glanced at him. "That guy just wanted to kill me. You're the leader of this operation, why didn't you do anything?" Sharon spread his hands helplessly. "I don't have the ability to stop him. The most I can do is avenge you after you're killed." Cardalus looked doubtful. "Even you can't stop him?" Sharon nodded and looked in the direction the Aoshi clan had left, a hint of fear flashing in his eyes. The Aoshi clan's most primitive bone index means that once someone is targeted, they will die as soon as the witchcraft is complete. This secret has been passed down for thousands of years, and no one has been able to crack it yet. Zhang Yi had been watching the scene unfold from the sidelines, and only now did he ask Yang Xinxin and the others. What do you think of this Aoshi clan? Can we believe what they said? Yang Xinxin said, it's actually very simple to find out if what they're saying is true. Just bring the corpse over and test its DNA. But right now, that's not the most important issue. Let's see what they have to say first. Zhang Yi nodded and didn't say anything. The situation was unclear, and he wasn't the organizer of this operation, so it was best to keep a low profile. Let's see what the people from the Eastern Orthodox Church have to say. That was the rule. Whether it was participating in an operation or attending a gathering, the initiator was always the one who had the most trouble. Of course, the initiator was also often the one with the most ulterior motives. After all, no one gets up early without a reason. The various teams had just gathered when such an unpleasant incident occurred, causing Olive to frown. He said to everyone, now that everyone is here, there are some things that must be made clear before we set off. This is to prevent any accidents from happening during the operation. We are all gathered here to go to the Demon's Eye and seal the Demon King Mammon. Once the Demon King is released, the entire world will become hell. At that time, all of our civilizations will be destroyed. Therefore, as the initiator, the Holy See has gathered many of the world's top mutant teams to carry out this important mission that concerns the survival of humanity. Of course, he changed his tone. The place where the Demon King is sealed is full of risks and opportunities. By entering there, we also have the chance to gain enormous opportunities. I'm sure I don't need to say this, as everyone here knows it very well. Therefore, regardless of any conflicts between our organizations or individuals, we must put them aside for now. We must unite and cooperate to complete the sealing mission first. Otherwise, it is highly likely that personal reasons will cause everyone to perish in the endless abyss. His voice became low and authoritative. If anyone causes trouble during the mission and holds others back, I swear in the name of the Cardinal of the Holy See that I will definitely punish them upon our return. Other mutant organizations must also join forces with the Holy See to punish those who disrupt the mission. After listening, Zhang Yi and the others nodded in agreement, indicating that they had no objections. After all, no one wanted to die down there. Even Cardalus, who always had a foul mouth, kept quiet. But at this moment, Zhang Yi thought for a moment and asked, I don't know much about the so-called Demon King Mammon Seal and the Netherworld Walkers. Since we are going to carry out the sealing mission together, please share the information you have about them with us. That way, we can be prepared. At this, the others also looked at Olive and Odibio. No one knew what was really beneath the Demon's Eye. At this moment, Olive was silent for a moment before slowly saying, actually, our Holy See doesn't know what lies beneath the Demon's Eye either. There aren't many records of it in the Holy Scriptures, which were written a long time ago, and many changes have occurred over the long years. Even the most original version of the Holy Scriptures, the Dead Sea Scrolls, is incomplete. Zhang Yi felt a little disappointed and looked at Odibio again. Chief Odibio, don't mind what that person just said. I'm quite curious about the Netherworld Walkers. Can you tell us about them? Zhang Yi asked with a smile. Seeing Zhang Yi's good attitude, which contrasted with Cardalus' foul mouth, Odibio's impression of Zhang Yi improved considerably. As the saying goes, flowers need green leaves to bring out their beauty. Thank you, Cardalus. Saladin also asked, Elder, we hope you can give us some guidance. The others also spoke up, hoping that Odibio would reveal some important information. Odibio finally spoke slowly. In the past, Netherworld Walkers were very weak beings. They relied on the power of the demon god and sacrificed their souls to gain eternal life. But the price they paid was eternal damnation and darkness. They gained eternal life, but they feared the light. At that time, any agile adult male could kill a Netherworld Walker with his bare hands. But now, the world has changed dramatically, and no one knows how much they have been affected. But according to legend, the Netherwalkers are not the most difficult to deal with. When the demon god's physical body is sealed, his soul splits and walks in the Netherworld. That is the most terrifying demon. In legend, this thing is called the Lord of the Netherworld. Every time it appears in the world, it brings drought, plague, and hurricanes, causing the deaths of large numbers of people. It then reaps the souls of humans. Apart from that, what Odibio said became more and more mysterious, sounding like something out of a myth. After all, in a primitive tribe, not everything that has been passed down to the present day is true, and much has been added by later generations. But one thing is certain, in the myths passed down by the Aoshi clan, it is not very clear what lies beneath the demon's eye. That makes sense. Zhang Yi said to Yang Xinshin and the others, when the demon king Mammon was sealed, the sixth generation of humans had not yet been born, so all we have heard are myths and legends. Whether it was Zhu Jiuyin, Mammon, or the demon king in the shaman myths, they were all sealed by the previous generation of humans. If we want to see the true form of the sealed place, we can only use our own eyes. Information was scarce, but everyone's determination to act did not waver. It had become a global consensus that there was a huge treasure trove underground. The trip to Fremons had already brought huge gains to the countries that participated in that war. This time, even though they knew they would face unknown risks, they still wanted to go in and take a look.